In this video, we are going to create a dictionary app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and we are going to use RapidAPI extension and RapidAPI to create this. Let's move on our computer screen and let's see how these things are created, and let's get started. So now I am inside of my VS Code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Chrome browser, and here is an API called Dictionary by API Ninja. So if you go to RapidAPI and sign up for an API, you can actually search for an API. So you can search for an API in the search bar. So what I'm doing is I'm typing word dictionary, and this will actually pull all the APIs related to this keyword. And as you can see, that word dictionary is an API, Dictionary by API Ninjas is an API. This is something that you can use. This is something you can use as well. So let me open this Dictionary by API Ninjas, and what this is doing is basically it can help you get meaning of a word using Axios, fetch, or whatever you like. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder in VS Code. So I'm going to create a folder called Dictionary PWH, and I'm going to drag this folder to VS Code. So I'm basically dragging this folder to VS Code, and I want you to install two extensions in VS Code. The first one being the RapidAPI, which is from RapidAPI itself. It's a RapidAPI client extension. Basically, you can test your APIs using this extension. Install this and you're going to love it, trust me. Okay, now another one is live server. This is something that you need to install as well. This is also amazing, and it basically helps you get the output preview of your HTML files, and you can actually see the live preview without having to reload the page. So we are going to use this for sure. Let me create a new file called index.html here. No rocket science so far. Okay, it's really very cold, guys. So if I'm typing slow, that is the reason. Okay, getbootstrap.com. This is permanent, everything is temporary. Bootstrap on CWH and PWH is permanent. So I always use Bootstrap. I don't know why. The reason is, actually I know. The reason is that not a lot of people are very comfortable with CSS. And if you are teaching something which is not CSS, for example, here I want to teach you how to use APIs. I want to write some JavaScript code. I don't want to focus on front end. So what I'll do is I'll actually use something which doesn't consume a lot of your attention from front end point of view. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll use this Bootstrap. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this quick start template from Bootstrap, and let me simply paste it here, and let me right click and open this with live server. So Bootstrap is working, and it's very easy to make Bootstrap work. No rocket science there. And I'm not pretending that I've done something which is great so far. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a nav bar. A very easy way to grab a nav bar is to copy it from here and paste it here. Now this is something which is permanent on CWH and PWH as well. We always use Bootstrap. We always use this nav bar because it is easy to use. Okay, let me change the title to Dictionary App because I want to feel the class Dictionary App while I'm using this app. Let me also copy this and let me paste it here, and you'll see that I without having to reload the page, you'll see the title of the page. Okay, which is great. Now what I'll do is I'll simply type something here, and I want the meaning of that word here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a very simple layout. In fact, what I'll do is I'll grab a layout from the examples. What could be the best way to get the meaning of a word? I think this is something which is great. So what I'll do is I'll simply right click and inspect, and let me copy this entire thing with the heading, with the image. Let me see if I can do that. So what I'll do is, or let me do one thing, guys. Let me no, I don't want to grab the entire main because that will complicate the things for me. So what I'll do is I'll say edit HTML, and I already have the Bootstrap installed. So here inside of this div, I'm pasting this div, and you'll see that centered hero is something that I've grabbed automatically. This is like, very easy to do. Now I'll show you something. So you can actually use Bootstrap icons. Okay, I don't know if I'm going out of context here, but Bootstrap icons is an amazing way to grab some of the very nice icons from the internet. I don't know if you can directly download them, but I'll see if I can download the book icon, somehow. So this is the dist icons. I think these are all the icons. Let me see if they have book. Oh yes, they do. They do have books. Let me see if I can download it. Open image in new tab. Can I reference to this? Let me see if I can do that. What I'll do is I'll simply replace this src with this one. I should be able to use the GitHub server. Let me see, where is my app? Here's my app. Oh wow, this is actually looking great. So all I need to do now is I will type a word here. I'll click search, and upon clicking search, after typing a word, I want to see the meaning of that word here. Okay. So I'll change the content of these two buttons. Talk to author, contribute. So these are the two buttons, two dummy buttons which I'm creating for this app. And guys, it's really very cold here. I'm going out of context, but I'm doing this. Sorry about that. Okay. I don't want to waste a lot of time doing this, so I'll continue. So what I'm doing is I'm adding these two buttons, and I'm adding these two buttons so that the app looks good. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll simply grab the Windows key on my keyboard. Actually, I'm using a Windows keyboard on a Mac. I don't know if that's normal, but I do that because I have a Windows machine, and I have to switch from Windows to Mac. I have a keyboard, and I love this keyboard. It's I'm again going out of context. It's from Red Gear, mechanical keyboard, really nice. Not sponsored, by the way. Okay, so let me mouse is from Logitech. It's also good. Let me now do something. Let me now come back to VS Code, and let me create a script called script.js. And inside of this script.js, what I'll say is, hey, if somebody clicks this button, which button? This search button. Okay, so I'll say id is equal to search. I'll say, hey, if somebody clicks on the search button, all you have to do is you have to grab the text from this input. So I'll simply say id is equal to search input. So I have a search input here, and I have another element with id search. Let me call it search pt, and it'll be easy for me to remember what this is. Otherwise, if I simply say search, I'll forget that it's a button and it's not an input. Okay, cool. So far so good. Now what I want to do is I want to actually I want to see if this API works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this API right into the RapidAPI extension. So let me do one thing. Let me simply take this URL. So this is a dictionary, and I'll give it a parameter which is word. Okay, so let me say new request. Let me put the URL here. So it's a get request. I'll say dictionary app by API Ninja. So API Ninja is the provider in RapidAPI. So in RapidAPI, you have a lot of providers who are providing the API to you. I'm using RapidAPI's API Ninja. Okay, so thank you API Ninja for the API. So query, in place of query, what I'll do is I'll say word, and I'll say abandon. I'll see the meaning of this word, but let me add the headers first. So I'll copy this key, I'll paste my key, then I'll paste the host. So these are the two headers which I'll have to copy and paste. How do I know that? Because that's something which I'm seeing in this Axios code. You can actually change this code if you want. If you don't understand JavaScript and Axios, you can actually change this to some other language. So if you want to change it to libc URL code, you can do that. Okay, so you can always do that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep JavaScript fetch, because I'm going to use fetch. I can actually copy this code right from it. I don't even have to test it. But in case you are using a third-party API provider which is not providing you a means to test the API, you can actually test it here. So you can see that to cast or drive out, to banish, to expel, to reject. So this is something API Ninja has returned, and I love it. I can actually show the definition here. So all I'll do is I'll say, hey, let me write a function, and I'll say the name of the word is dictionary, and I'm going to write an arrow function. I'm going to say, hey, if somebody gives me a word, okay, if somebody gives me a word, and if I need the meaning of that word, what I'll do is I'll call this API, and I'll actually convert this then to a proper function. And inside of this function, I'll write the logic. So I'll actually get the response in the console, and I can do whatever I want here. So I can say search btn, or rather search or let me call it word dot inner html is equal to response dot, and we have the word response dot word. So what I'm basically doing is I'm saying that inside of span with id word, what you'll have to do is insert this text. Okay, so let me create a span with id word. So this is where I want my word to be. So I'll say span, and I'll say id is equal to word. Okay, and here what I'll do is, let me toggle word wrap. Yes, here what I want is I want the definition. So I'll say span id is equal to definition. Okay, so word dot inner html is equal to this, and definition dot inner html is equal to response dot definition, which means this thing. And the moment somebody searches, what I want to do is I want to say, hey, if somebody clicks on submit btn, I want to add an event listener, and I want to add a click listener. And what I want to do is I want to say, hey, if somebody clicks on this button, all you have to do is e dot prevent default. Now, what is e dot prevent default? So basically, when somebody clicks on the button and it's inside of a form, that form will be submitted. I don't want that. I don't want page to reload and form to submit. I want to suppress the default behavior. Okay, so this is what e dot prevent default does. After this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, if somebody clicks on this button, do one thing: grab the value of this input and call the dictionary function. So I'll say dictionary and search input dot value. So grab the value of this search input and execute this dictionary method. Okay, and by default, what I'll do is word, your word will appear here. And in place of definition, I'll say welcome to the dictionary app. Type your favorite word in the search bar at the top, and you will see the meanings here. Okay, you will see the meanings here, which is great. Okay, so let me see if the app works. Your word will appear here. Welcome to the dictionary app. Type your favorite word in the search bar at the top right, at the top right, and you will see the meaning of that word here. You'll see the meaning of that word here. Let me try. So I'll say abandon. It didn't work. There is some error or something. Let me see what the issue is. So I think I forgot to add this script. So what I'll do is I'll say script src is equal to script.js, and submit btn is not defined. Submit btn, where are you? Search btn, sorry, not submit btn. So search btn, it's called search btn, not submit btn. So if I say abandon, so if I search for abandon, let me see if this works. It doesn't work. It doesn't changes this. And see bright. Let me see if the word is bright. No, it's actually taking the wrong word. So what I'll do is I will see why is it taking bright. The reason is that we have hard coded bright. So what I'll do is I will say word here. So whatever is coming will appear here, and word.innerHTML is equal to response.word. So the span with id is equal to word is not changing. So this is something that I need to fix. So your word will appear here. So why is id is equal to word not working? So word dot inner HTML is equal to response dot word. Let me see why the word is not changing. So if I say abandon, the meaning of abandon will come, but this word is not changing. So to cast or drive or to banish, to expel, this is this thing. Okay, cool, nice. Now why is this word not taking this place? Let me see. Let me type word here. So this is correct. If I say word dot inner HTML is equal to response dot word, sorry, if I say hey, it changes to hey, but why is it not working here? So if I say word dot inner HTML is equal to response dot word, why is the word not changing? Let me see what's the issue here. So word, your word will appear here, span id is equal to word. Not sure, man, what's happening, but I will find out the bug. So the meaning is changing, but this is not changing. What's wrong here? What am I doing wrong here? So word, meaning is correct, everything is correct. This thing is actually, you know, it's actually freaking me out. Let me do console.log word and response, and let me remove this response from here. Let me see if the word is available or not while I'm typing something. So if I type abandon, so abandon is here, but why is this thing not showing up, this word? Oh, okay, I got it. So what I'm doing is, the mistake is that I am using the same word here, but I should actually use some other ID. So I'll say a word heading. Okay, let me call it word heading instead of word, and no need to do console log. I'm pretty confident that this is going to work. Okay, so word heading dot inner HTML is equal to response dot word. Now if I do something like this, what I'll do is I'll say water. Let me see what's the meaning of water. So if I search the fluid which descends from the clouds in rain. Wow, what a nice definition. And also I want to format the output nicely. So how do I do it? So the first, second and third, so what I'll do is I'll say, hey, if there is one dot in your word response dot word, I'll say dot replace one dot with backslash n word dot, sorry, one dot backslash n. It's actually a forward slash, not backslash. Okay, and I want to do this with 2 dot and 3 dot. Okay, let me copy this, let me paste it here. 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot, 4 dot. Let me also do the same thing with 4 dot, and we'll see if this works or not. So if I say abandon, this will actually change. Okay, so I don't want backslash n, I want br, because this is HTML. br will work in HTML. So if I say abandon, if I say search, okay, so br doesn't work. Why? Let me find out. So if I do response dot word dot, oh, I'm doing it with word, I need to do it with the definition. So this is a mistake. Let me fix my mistake. This should work now. If I say abandon and if I search, this is actually showing all the meanings in new lines. Nice and clean. This looks pretty good. Okay, meaning of your word will appear here. I'll say meaning of. If I do something like this, this is actually not looking good. So let me change it to, here is the meaning of plus response dot word, and let me enclose this in double quotes. So I searched, here's the meaning of water, and let me also put a space here. So abandon. Let me also see the meaning of pressure. So here's the meaning of pressure. Let me see the meaning of what specs. This is the meaning of specs. It's not available. Specification. Let me see if the meaning of specification is available. It is available. So this is the meaning and word which is being displayed here. You can always beautify this, or you can always show the first meaning. It's up to you guys. You can do whatever you want. If you know JavaScript, you can do literally whatever you want. I can actually go to index.html and make it the navbar a pretty more beautiful. So I can remove this li. Let me remove this li. Let me change it to about this app. And you can even change the hrefs. You can remove this disabled link. And yes, this works now, and this is looking pretty good. So I hope that you like this dictionary app. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And it's pretty cold here, so let me remove this. I look good this way. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and I will see you next time.